Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All That Jam, Quick Hit. John Spignesi and Scott Murawski.
How we doing today, guys?
Good. How are you?
Very good, very good. So why don't you give me your origin story, and then we'll work up to you working with Scott there.
Sure. Oh God! Like how far back do I go here?
How much time do we
Well,
have?
let's go with the band. Well, how about the band on this project?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
don't you start with where that got together?
yeah. Sure. So, band started in like late 2014, early 2015. It originally was a 9-piece group. There was like horns and percussion and 2 chick backing vocals, and then slowly dwindled over the years, and got down to now a 3-piece. Which is a very unique sound. I feel like definitely like a lot of room to move around. Um, and like just like I've always had I mean, I liked cover songs and all that stuff too, but I always liked writing. Like I've always tried to like write, and I love like filmmaking and that kind of stuff too, being creative in different ways. So writing music has always been something that's been interesting to me. Still not mastered by any means, but definitely a work in progress for sure. And
So,
yeah,
are all 6 albums you've had been the trio, or were some of them the larger band?
some of the larger band. I think the first album is when we were like a 5-piece with a percussion player, and then after that it was just 4. It like slowly went down as the
Dwindled.
years went on.
There you go. So let me ask you this. We're going to go off track already. Do you like a trio better, or do you like a larger band better?
I guess they both have their pluses. You make more money probably as a trio. as a trio. But I think like I love horns and that kind of stuff too, and I've always liked percussion and that kind of stuff. But as a trio, I think like I said, you have a lot more. The sound there's a lot more room to kind of move around, and you don't really step on each other's toes as much. Yeah, I think they both have their pluses.
A lot more, I feel like, falls on everybody with a trio.
Mhm.
There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah, well, especially when you make mistakes, everybody knows like, oh, that must have been the guitar player. So
Do you still do songs from the when you had the full band? Has
oh
it
yeah,
dwindled down?
oh yeah, no, we're still doing them. They have to like you got to kind of rearrange them and rethink them how you approach them, but they're still done. They're like a moment in time. You like so we play them, and I think back to like when we first wrote them, and when I had like crazy curly hair down to here. It was like a different time, but
I hear you with that. I hear you with that. All right, so you have 6 albums. You're working on a 7th album, and you brought a friend in to help you out produce a little bit on that.
sure did. Sure did. Yeah. And it's been an awesome experience. Like I said, I know Scott has like a lot of knowledge about songwriting and all that stuff too, and we tapped into that a lot. We worked a lot in the studio and just making things sound good raw, which I think we spent a lot more time doing this time around, just making sure like the actual raw take felt good, um, before we got into like overdubbing or anything like that too.
All right, so you had the songs written before you walked in. They've
Oh
been
yeah,
road tested, and
yeah. We've been playing most of these probably for I would say for like over a year beforehand,
okay,
just to make sure you want to be able to go in and just kind of lay it down
knock
time
it
after
out.
time.
When the clock's ticking and it's money, huh?
For sure.
So Scott, is this? I'm guessing I might be totally off base, but you've produced before.
No, never produced before. No, I, John has come over to this studio here, and we've done some stuff. And I've always talked about wanting to get into producing or whatever, and just to read research of like all the different definitions there are of what it means to produce a record. And so John offered it to me, and I said, I'm deaf and I've never produced anybody before. So if you can live with that, then yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it.
So
Very nice, very nice. I mean, you have a very storied career. Then, what did you like? What did you learn before? Like, what did you think going in, and did you find that it was different than how you envisioned it?
well, being my first time, I didn't want to overstep bounds, so so I would carefully voice my opinions about things, I guess. I've been in the studio, not so much a lot with Max Creek, but I've been in the studio with Mike Gordon quite a bit and with some top name producers. And I've learned a lot of um, of what it's about, really. And there's all kinds of like engineering tricks and technology tricks and all this other stuff that come into play, but really the role of my role, or I feel, is to um, kind of help materialize John's vision of what he thinks this all is. And so that's kind of my approach. It's like taking what listening to what John says and does, and kind of trying to get everybody else on the same page, and to get the like have it be fun, and have the performances sound fun, and just get the best out of everybody that's in the room, kind of a thing. That's kind of my approach.
There you go. Yeah, you like to have the live kind of edge to it a little bit, I guess.
N- No, I mean, I write stuff in my studio down here all the time, and it's
Right.
just going to be me, so it's going to be one at a time, and that's kind of how it is, and
Right.
so that's kind of how I'm used to working. But yeah, I think in a situation in a band like John's, there's a lot of interaction that goes on, even playing the parts together. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a chemistry there, and so getting that chemistry onto the recording, I think, is an essential thing.
Right. And we have John, it's Joe Jeffy and Matt Ailing are
Yeah,
your two guys?
Joe Jeffrey and Matt Alling. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and they're bass and drums there. I love the format of the guitar trio there. So you did some acoustic stuff there. Do you tend to lean towards more of that, or do you like a heavier electric thing?
Well, Scott and I always joke that like whenever the band's like, let's play an acoustic set, it's just the guitar player that has to play acoustic guitar, and so like feel like I get stuck doing most of the work, and they still get to play they're like, oh, I'm playing a fretless bass, or I'm playing a smaller kit, and I'm like,
Right.
it's still the same thing for you. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's cool. Joe and I, my bass player, we do like breweries and stuff in like the winter time. So we do like the duo stuff at like smaller places and all that. But I mean, I prefer electric. I don't have to work as hard.
Right. And one of those duo things was released as something you put out called Choice Cuts, right?
Mhm. Yeah, there was like
And
a collection of. I think we did like a little brewery tour last winter. Went to like Jersey and that kind of stuff. It's just like a collection of like 10 different shows. Like we sat down, we picked like the best takes from all of them, and
right. It's an interesting take there. And you referenced, I guess it was inspired by um what's that guy's name? The Grateful Dead guy, the
oh,
Dick
the
Sticks
Dick's
guy.
picks kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we instead of doing that, we did like choice cuts. So we did like different like animals. So like the first one was like a pig, and there was like a cow. It's like different cuts of meat. You know,
hey, the sky's the limit, right?
I guess. Yeah.
All right. So you want to go through, okay, well, how much can you tell me about the album before it comes out? Do you want to go through some of the songs that you have on it?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. There's 11 tracks on there. Like I said, most of them we had written. I mean, I think the oldest one in there goes as far back as like 2017 or 2018. So we've been itching to kind of record a bunch of these for a long time too. Um, I would say this definitely maybe leans out maybe a little more on the heavier side than maybe stuff that we would normally do. But Scott and I brought in a bunch of different like session musicians this time around. We got the guys from West End Blend, which was like I've always wanted to have like horns on an album, and those guys came in, and it was on. I mean, I'm sure he could speak to it too, but they literally sat down, listened to the part like 3 or 4 times, and they were like, "All right, we have this line," and it was perfect.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got who else did we get? Sammy Garrett from formerly of Turquoise, now of Cool Cool Cool. She came in from Brooklyn. She sang on a couple songs too. Absolute like powerhouse of a voice. Who am I missing, Scott?
Kate.
Kate Ailsa, from Legion of Jerry, Dead Show. I'm missing a bunch of
Rolling Thunder Revival.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, she came in, sang on a couple too. Just I think it was just, in the past we've always wanted to be like, all right, on the album it's going to be the band, like it's just going to be the members of the band, nobody else, because this is how we sound. But like I feel like in the studio you can kind of go a little more free than you normally would, and recruit all of your friends. It really does. It feels like an album with all of our friends on it too. And we got obviously Mark, who's been playing with Scott for 50 years.
Yep.
Yeah, like how we forgot him of all people. He came in, played keys. He's on like 4 or 5 tracks. It's good stuff. It is.
So how does it, when you do an album like this, you've played the songs before, you bring them in, you add horns. When you take it back out, has it changed the song, how you see it as the trio after you've heard it with the horns and in the studio?
Yeah, and I think like just the overall feel feels different too. I mean, something I've really admired about working with Scott is that like for him, above technical proficiency, the feel is like the most important. If it feels good, if the overall vibe is there, that's more important. I mean, especially that makes me feel better because my technical proficiency isn't where it should be. But like I said, the overall vibe of the song, the song takes on new life. Especially we go in the studio, we learn new things. I've learned like singing alone too. I came over his house. We had a bunch of vocal techniques that he was able to pass along to me too. So I'm now able to carry those kind of things over to the stage as well too.
There you go. Now, did Scott help you with some of the writing on this, or it was all out of what you had done before?
He helped with a lot of the solos for sure.
Right.
When we were in pre-production, there were like the songs were written basically, but there were just certain little things that I said, "Oh, well, what if you did this and what if you did that?" But there wasn't a ton. It was pretty much ready to go when he brought it. But there were a couple things that I suggested that good or bad, that's the way they are now.
It's there on wax, as they say. Right?
On wax, yep.
I am a big fan of having an editor, having someone listen to what you've done before it goes out, because some people get big enough that they don't have to have an editor anymore, and then sometimes you're like, really, that's what you're working with?
Yeah, I mean, like to me, obviously, he's written so many tunes that I love. Like, why would I not want to tap into like his knowledge of that? I mean, that'd be
Exactly.
shooting myself in the foot,
Exactly. I still have the your Relics, one of the Max Creeks album on the Relics label, kicking around here somewhere.
Oh yeah,
that I bought when I was in high school. Not
my
the
least
Disney
favorite
or
one.
you. Oh man! All right, so how was quarantine for you? I guess everybody had to get off the road. Did you find that it helped your music?
We were supposed to record before quarantine. Actually, that's when we first talked about this. Me, the two of us. It was like right before it. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, we're going to produce the album and it's going to be great. And then like March of 2020, I was like, all right, well, we're on hold. And 3 years later, we finally got to it. But I mean, it was productive in some way. I mean, there's nothing else to do besides, sit here. Sat here. I got a screen over here, watched movies, played guitar, and it's like Groundhog Day,
Yep. Yeah, we've had a bunch of people tell us either it helped them with their songwriting, with discovering the studio. Mark from the Disco Biscuit said he practiced more over quarantine than he ever had in his life. So I find it fascinating that it was a horrible thing for the world, and I know it scarred my children permanently because they were in high school at the time. But I think it also helped a lot. I think of people to maybe discover themselves on some level.
Definitely. Yeah, it's like almost like starting over.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe as morbid as that sounds, like it really is. Like you're rethinking. I feel like live streaming became so much more popular throughout quarantine, and like nugs kind of exploded and that kind of stuff. So you kind of need to rethink marketing and how you're going to push stuff out to people. And
some people use their quarantine very well with the streaming. I will say that.
Oh, definitely. It's true.
Some people blew up there.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.